Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Sean Campbell. Sean Campbell is the founder and creator of Lyceum, the world's first and only piano tablature learning system, and the first company to offer a patented alternative to traditional piano sheet music. Campbell designed Lyceum in an effort to simplify the learning process and break down the barrier to entry for piano students posed by traditional sheet music. Campbell's model teaches students to learn through a tablature process that identifies what each hand and finger should play, allowing the student to learn the song at a pace that would have been impossible using traditional sheet music. Campbell's tablature model has been patented and is paving the way for piano students of all ages to feel comfortable and far less discouraged while learning to play the piano. Well, good afternoon, Sean. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. A pleasure to be here, sir.
Absolutely. This is exciting. And, Sean, I talk to a lot of technologists, Silicon Valley CEOs, people from all walks of life through 40 countries. But I believe this is the first podcast for me anyway, a guest on the show that's actually a musician, or at least that's your full-time job. So I certainly appreciate and honored to have you here. And I know you've got an incredible background. So thank you again. And Sean, we're going to jump right into these questions so we can get your story out to our global audience. You've got quite the career in music, as I mentioned, as a band's frontman. You're an entrepreneur and now the founder and creator of Lyceum. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
I believe it's just following what brings me the most joy in the moment. Usually I'm inspired by just enjoying myself and having a good time. And it took me a while till I actually taught my first music class. I was dating a woman who owned a music school, and she kept asking me, will you please teach? Will you please teach? Because she knew I was a player. And one day I finally agreed to teach, and it just went really well. And I felt so at home, and I knew that was my destiny. So within a couple months, I had, 60 students per week and was deeply engaged in the realm of teaching, which led to the creation of my invention.
That's awesome. Love the story. And again, it's interesting. We were just talking about that, how our life kind of traverses and changes trajectory when we get introduced to somebody, or you've got to solve a problem or take care of a loved one. So thank you very much. And Sean, talk to us about your revolutionary way to learn and play piano while having fun.
You mentioned solving problems. And I think as a teacher these days, we live in such a instant gratification world. Everything is right there at the touch of a button, that a lot of the young children, even adults, they're not willing to follow that traditional path of music of, right away having to not only learn how to play a new instrument, but how to read this new language of music, which is not an easy thing to learn. So out of necessity, I noticed that these kids just didn't have the patience or the dedication or perseverance to follow the traditional path. So I had to figure out, how am I going to keep these students engaged and motivated and inspired? And I feel I was real lucky to have this idea just kind of flow through me. And basically, I invented an alternate notation system for the piano that uses only colors, letters, and numbers. And I can take any song in any style, any level of difficulty, and translate it into this new system. And my new system literally takes about 2 minutes to learn how to read. So that's why I kind of consider it to be the easiest, fastest, and most enjoyable way to learn piano.
I love that. And the fact that, you were thinking of your students before anything else. And I think that is so inspiring. You do obviously think of others before yourself. And out of that came this amazing solution. Having fun is the best way to learn. So thank you again, Sean. And Sean, are you leveraging any new or emerging technologies within your business or platform? If not, maybe you found a cool tool or app you found useful and you might want to share with us today.
Yeah. It's interesting that for my notation system, which I call piano tablature, and, people who are not musicians may not be familiar with the term tablature, but tablature is a system of notation that, rather than using the treble clef and the bass clef to denote the pitch of the notes of a song, it shows you where to place your fingers on the instrument. And, tablature for the guitar is the absolute greatest thing that's ever happened to the guitar. 99.9% of guitarists have learned to play the guitar and learned all their songs through tablature. But the system known as guitar tab was actually invented in the 1600s for the lute. So that transformational system is public domain. Anyone can take a song and translate it into guitar tab, but there's never been tablature for the piano that actually works and is easier than traditional music notation. But luckily, I submitted my patent application, and the patent examiner agreed that this was, a never before disclosed technology, and it was, a concrete, tangible product. So I think, in a technology-driven world, it's interesting to have created this new technology that's not so, computer-driven. Although I had to figure out, how can I expediently translate these songs from traditional music into my notation? So I thought, man, it'd be great if I could have an application that could take traditional music, audio music, and just output the tablature. But, as of now, it's limited because the AI doesn't know which finger and which hand is playing the notes. And that's one of the advantages of my notation, is each note on the page, each note of your song does show you which hand and finger to play it with, and, how long to hold it down. So in order to advance this technology, I would have to sort of create a MIDI gloves plugged into a MIDI controller that could instantly spit this out. It would be very expensive, but it's a technology that I'm working on developing right now.
That's awesome. We love to hear things. Obviously, the stories, especially entrepreneurs and the challenges they overcome and the solutions they find. But the fact that you are looking at technology today to actually improve and make it even better, that's awesome. So, Sean, last question for you today. Can you share something from your career experience that would be helpful for those looking to grow their career in entrepreneurship or music?
Yeah, definitely. Again, back to what we discussed in the beginning, it's just figuring out what really brings the individual joy and inspiration. And it's so interesting the way the universe works, that even if you can't see how this is going to make you money, if you do follow that path of inspiration, it's amazing the synchronicity and, the providence that all of a sudden begins to shower down upon us as we do exemplify a little faith and trust in ourselves and in the products that we develop. So I think just really that, along with, keeping a clear mind. These days, I think there's a lot going on with our technology, meaning the television and the radio and the computer and the phone and screen time. And I think it could really be a distraction from that, that whispering voice that guides us to the highest path. So I just think, a little quiet time is really important, keeping the mind clear. And of course, using music as a new form of meditation and healthy lifestyle.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. And you're right. We do need some of that time to ourselves to focus. And sometimes some of our best work and ideas come out when we do meditate. So, Sean, thanks for sharing those gems today. And it was a pleasure having you on. And I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And it was a pleasure to meet you today.
Bye for now.